Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer with a frankly shocking statistic. Did you know the consumption of high fructose corn syrup in the US absolutely skyrocketed by over 3,000% between 1967 and 2019? Right? It's just staggering. We aren't just eating more food, we're fundamentally altering the chemical makeup of what we put into our bodies, mostly by drowning our diets in these processed liquid sugars. So today, we're going to take a really fascinating anatomical journey. We're going to trace the exact path of a massive dose of liquid sugar, literally from the moment it hits your tongue all the way down to the cellular level. We're going to see exactly how this invisible chemistry alters your body from the inside out. Before we jump in, here is our quick roadmap for today's explainer. 1, the brain, 2, the gut, 3, the liver, 4, the bloodstream, and finally 5, some real solutions and guidelines. To set the stage here, we really need to define what we're talking about. Today, we're specifically targeting what are called added or free sugars. Basically, these are caloric sweeteners that are artificially pumped into our food and drinks during processing. They offer a pretty much zero nutritional value. We're talking pure, empty calories. All right, section 1, the brain, the dopamine trap. Let's start our journey at the very top and look at what happens the exact second you take a sip of a sugary drink. The moment that liquid sugar washes over your tongue, your sweet receptors immediately fire off a signal straight to your brain. And boom, this triggers an instant rush of dopamine. That's the neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure and reward, so you get this really positive, happy feeling. But here's the trap. Over time, your brain adapts to this constant stimulation. It literally builds a tolerance. So suddenly, that one can of soda doesn't give you the same rush, and your brain starts demanding even more sugar just to feel normal. And as we all know, what goes up definitely must come down. When that dopamine stimulation finally wears off, you get the inevitable crash. You might feel irritable, grumpy, and it actually impairs how well you can think and focus. Even more alarming, regular high sugar consumption is clinically linked to higher rates of major depressive disorder. You might reach for a sugary treat when you're feeling down to get that quick dopamine hit, but it actually feeds a punishing cycle that makes the symptoms of depression even worse. Moving on to section 2, the gut, the hidden sugar flood. Next up, the sugar moves down your throat and right into your digestive system. Now, there is a massive, dramatic difference between what we call a slow drip and a flash flood. Think about a whole apple. It contains natural fructose, sure, but it is tightly bound up in dietary fiber. That fiber basically acts like a net. It slows down digestion and gives you a really nice, manageable drip of energy. But when you process that fruit into liquid apple juice, you strip away every bit of that fiber. You are now just drinking liquid sugar, and that creates an immediate flash flood in your system. It hits your gut all at once without ever triggering the signals in your brain that tell you you've had enough. Let's look at exactly what that flash flood does in your intestines. The liquid fructose completely overwhelms the specific transporters in your small intestine, which are known as GLUT5 transporters. Just imagine a toll booth on the highway with way too many cars trying to get through at once. They just get completely saturated. So all this unabsorbed sugar bypasses the toll booth and drops right down into your colon. This creates massive osmotic pressure, which draws water out of your surrounding intestinal cells and actually causes them to shrink. On top of that, this unabsorbed fructose destroys your healthy fiber-loving bacteria and feeds the bad ones. This state of dysbiosis actually eats away at your intestinal wall, causing your gut to literally leak inflammatory toxins straight into your body. It's wild. Okay, section 3, the liver, the fat storage unit. Let's move to the next stop on our map to see how this builds into a truly overwhelming problem. So the liver is the primary organ responsible for absorbing all that fructose. Since the gut just kind of threw its hands up and passed the buck because it was overwhelmed by the flash flood, we really have to ask, what does the liver do with this sudden massive influx of sugar? Well, the answer is pretty shocking. Unlike glucose, which actually has a built-in rate limiter in your body, fructose completely bypasses your liver's normal energy limits. It doesn't get used for immediate cellular energy. Instead, your liver acts like a totally panic-stricken factory. It just throws its hands in the air and converts all that excess fructose directly into fat molecules, specifically triglycerides. This constant, non-stop fat production drives severe oxidative stress, localized inflammation, and ultimately leads to a highly dangerous condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Which brings us to section 4, the bloodstream, insulin resistance made simple. Finally, that excess sugar and all that newly created fat get pumped out of the liver and into your general bloodstream. This triggers a seriously dangerous 4-step cascade. First, you consume the sugar, which causes your blood sugar levels to spike. Second, your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. Now, think of insulin as a key that's designed to unlock your body's cells so the sugar can go inside and be burned for energy. But step 3 is where things really fall apart. Because your body is constantly bombarded with these sugar floods, your cells get overworked and desensitized. They essentially change the locks and totally ignore the insulin key. And step 4, with the doors locked, the sugar has nowhere to go, so it just builds up dangerously in your blood. And that trapped blood sugar doesn't just float around harmlessly. It actually sticks to proteins and lipids, creating what scientists call advanced glycation end products, or, quite appropriately, AGEs. These AGEs literally stiffen the walls of your blood vessels. They also impair your body's production of nitric oxide, which is a crucial molecule that normally helps your blood vessels relax and open up. So with stiff, narrow vessels, white blood cells and fats start to clump together, triggering the arterial plaque buildup known as atherosclerosis. Simply put, this liquid sugar flood is directly paving the way for heart attacks and cardiovascular disease. In fact, to put a hard number on that risk, one massive study analyzing over 300,000 people showed that folks consuming just 1 to 2 sugar-sweetened beverages a day were 26% more likely to develop type 2 diabetes compared to those who rarely drank them. All right, Section 5, Reclaiming Your Health, Solutions and Guidelines. Knowing the profound damage this internal flash flood causes, let's look at how we can actually fix the problem. The global consensus here is incredibly clear. The World Health Organization strongly recommends that added sugars make up absolutely no more than 10% of your total daily energy intake. So, for someone on a standard 2,000-calorie diet, that means a strict maximum of 200 calories from added sugar per day. To put that into perspective, the American Heart Association limits men to 36 grams of added sugar a day and women to just 25 grams. Now, consider that a single standard can of soda contains about 40 grams. So drinking just one can puts you instantly and severely over the healthy limit for the entire day. There's just no wiggle room there. So naturally, you're probably wondering, if fruit juices, sodas, and sports drinks are off the table, what can we actually drink to stay hydrated without triggering all this metabolic chaos? Well, health experts recommend some really simple, highly satisfying swaps. Plain or sparkling water with a fresh slice of lemon or lime gives you a fantastic, refreshing zing. Iced black, green, or herbal teas provide immense flavor and a great boost of antioxidants. And hotter iced coffee with a splash of milk or cream can totally satisfy your cravings. These options quench your thirst completely without unleashing a massive fructose overload onto your hard-working organs. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Given the incredible anatomical journey we just took together, seeing exactly how liquid sugar shrinks your gut cells, forces your liver to hoard fat, stiffens your blood vessels, and totally tricks your brain, are you ready to rethink your next drink? Are you willing to trade that fleeting 10-minute dopamine hit for a lifetime of metabolic health and vitality? The choice is entirely in your hands, or I guess in your glass. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and here's to making smarter, healthier choices.